You have voted, actually. You didn't vote for this. This topic was in the vote a few times. Um, but sweet Emma, I know you've been trying many times to have this answer, so I thought I would come on for a special edition. I'm Kat Rambo, your medicine woman, and the request is for natural hair health. This is a favorite topic of mine, and just as a disclaimer, everyone's hair type is different, right? Some of our hair types are way different than others, some are only a little different, but everyone's hair is just like everyone's skin. It's totally unique to you, and that'll change throughout the years too. I have in my herbalism practice treated many different hair types with completely different ingredients, but the same philosophy. So we're going to do a little philosophy and a little practical know-how as well. And we're going to move through the process of, because Miss Emma, I think what you're suffering from, oh, so pretty. My hair is pretty. Thank you, Chrissy. It's actually like flat. I need to wash it. But thank you. It has a tendency to get dry and crunchy and fall out and frizzy and crappy. So I really appreciate you saying that. These remedies work. um, Actually, a lot of people have come into my herbalism practice about hair, and although it may seem like a question about vanity, it's not. Especially in our culture and in many cultures, we identify with their hair, and it's a symbol of health and wellness. So let's talk about it, right? Feeling good is part of healing, right? So we should feel pretty too. So this works for males and females, different types of hair textures and ethnicities. Like I said, I've treated a wide range of different hair conditions, ranging from severe psoriasis to awful dryness. I think what Miss Emma was going through is she was in the jungle for some time, so her hair is real crunchy and dry and frizzy and having a hard time recovering. So I'm going to focus a little bit on that just because that's what Miss Emma asked for. All right, little bird, are you ready? Just for you. So first I want to talk about the philosophy is not just what more to do, it's what less to do. So we're going to talk about treatments and masks, and then the cleansing and conditioning process, and then what we can do for our hair after we wash it, whatever treatments and serums we want to use. Okay. So first, I love masks because especially if your hair is dry or frizzy, or just sometimes in general, we should do this, is to do a mask. So what does that mean? It doesn't have to be fancy, and I don't buy expensive products. I usually like coconut oil, right? Coconut oil has a nice small molecule, so it gets in the hair. It's not super heavy, but it's also very nourishing, and it's good for scalp health because it has an antimicrobial property. So if you're struggling with dandruff or psoriasis or eczema, this is a really gentle option to help improve hair health with not just not aggravating ingredients, but ingredients that can actually help scalp health, because scalp health is hair health, right? So first, coconut oil. I also like the avocado method. You just mash up avocado and you put that in there, or you can get pre-pressed avocado oil. Obviously, with most things, I will usually recommend go for cold pressed organic if you can. This has got the most good ingredients in there that are going to help your hair the most. And your skin, I usually do not recommend putting coconut oil on the face. Some people can get away with it. I cannot. I have super sensitive skin, and it makes me break out because the molecule is too large for pores. It gets stuck. It is comedogenic for some people, but some people love to put it on their face. Good for you. I cannot. I wish I could. But I'll put it everywhere else, right? Everywhere else. So I love it for hair. And the way I usually go about that is whatever oil mask I'm going to put in there, massage, massage, massage your scalp. Bring all that nice blood flow and circulation into your scalp. Tell your hair how you love it. Tell your scalp how beautiful it is and how much you appreciate it, what it does for you. And then bring it down into the ends, especially in the ends and the bottom third length, right? No matter how long your hair is. And then I usually just do boxer braids, braid it up, put it up, nice protective hairstyle. You can put a cap on it to keep it nice and warm to make sure it soaks in real nice. Or you can just leave it. I recommend leaving it for at least 30 minutes. Usually if I do this, I'll put it up in like a braided hairstyle and then just leave it for the day and wash it out the next day. So I just definitely go for a cap because I don't want that all over like my pillow, my face at night. So I recommend that. But if you're not used to wearing a hair cap, it might be annoying. If you are, I recommend it. A nice treatment. I also love argan oil for hair. And I also like to add other ingredients too. Sometimes I like rosemary on the scalp, rosemary oil. Remember, if you're using essential oils, just use a very little bit. And then just put that in your scalp. You don't need to put that in the ends. So mix up your warm coconut oil so it's a liquid. Because when it's cooler, it solidifies. Just a couple drops of the essential oil of rosemary. This stimulates hair growth and is also antibacterial and antimicrobial, so it's really good for scalp health. And then just massage all that in there and enjoy the process of loving on yourself and your body. And then rinse it out whenever you're ready. Wash it out, right? So let's talk about washing. So how often do I do a coconut rinse? When I was in Florida and it was nice and humid, I didn't do a lot of coconut masks, oil masks, because I didn't really need it. But if I'm in the sea a lot, then I do. And here in Chile, the air is very dry here, and I have been doing that much more frequently. When I realized why my hair was so unmanageable and crappy and crunchy feeling, I was like, oh, that's right. I need to take care of my body, right? And so I started doing that again, and I'll do that probably every couple weeks. Yeah, because I'm also a raisin in dry weather. So I like lots of moisture. Sometimes we don't realize that what our hair is really crying out is just for more moisture. So I really like oil masks for that. Let's talk about washing, right? So this is where I take a very reductionist approach. I have found that with a lot of the clients that I work with, the reason their hair is falling out or the reason they're having eczema or psoriasis issues or dandruff is actually the ingredients in the shampoo, right? So we like to buy really expensive, nice shampoo because we think it's going to make your hair really great. But the truth is it's only on your scalp for a short time anyway. And so just buy something that you like, right? There are some ingredients I specifically avoid, especially if they occur in the first few ingredients listed on the shampoo bottle, because on American standards, the higher up the ingredient is listed in the list of ingredients, the more of that ingredient is in there. So things in the first few items are primary ingredients, the last few items are smaller amounts, right? Just because it's a smaller amount doesn't mean it's less relevant. No one wants a small amount of cyanide in their coffee either, you know. So size does matter. But also with some poisonous ingredients that are in our commercial care products, I would recommend none of them if possible, but sometimes it's kind of unavoidable. So just do your best. So my favorite ingredient to avoid is sodium lauryl sulfate. And I'll say that again in a minute so you can hear that one, SLS or SLES. This is a strong detergent, right? It gives it nice lather. It gives it that effect where it strips all the oil out of your hair. But when it strips all your natural oil out, it makes your hair dry and frizzy. And it's also really irritating for your scalp. So I also don't even recommend washing your hair all that regularly. People who wash their hair every day, it should be because you're like really sweaty or you work in a restaurant kitchen or something where you really do have dirty hair. But most of the time our hair isn't really dirty. It's just we can let it go for a few days, and I really don't recommend washing your hair every single day, especially if you're using shampoos with detergents, because it will strip all the natural oil out of your hair and it's unnecessary. Right? Let your hair be, let your body do what it does, and it will take care of you back. So sodium lauryl sulfate, my favorite ictionate ingredient, right? After that, there's another one called ammonium lauryl sulfate. That's usually in cheaper shampoo products, and is in the same category as harsh detergents. And I highly recommend avoiding it when possible. Unfortunately, a lot, in fact, probably most commercial shampoo products have this in it. So you kind of just got to stand there in the beauty aisle and read 1,000 shampoo bottles and find out what doesn't have it. You're most likely going to find this ingredient absent in brands that tout a more natural, holistic, or organic approach. But even ones that advertise having natural ingredients may not be natural products, right? So they may have natural ingredients in them, but that doesn't mean they are a natural product. So be careful of some brands that like to advertise this platform of all these natural ingredients, but they may also be including all of these harsh detergents and chemical solvents, which are not good for us. I noticed that a lot of people with thinning hair, when they stop using shampoo with this in it, just this, then their hair starts growing back and they get lots of nice little baby hairs and fuzzy hairs that grow in, and their hair is a lot healthier. So I really recommend avoiding this ingredient. A lot of people, when they switch away from using products with this ingredient, find that their hair is gross and greasy. Your hair will adjust. Give it time, right? Be patient, because your hair is used to having all of its oil stripped out all the time with these harsh detergents. So it's in the habit of quickly producing more oil as fast as it can to protect itself, because that's what your hair needs and your scalp needs to be healthy. So when you stop using these products, your hair still may think it has to immediately produce as much as it can, but eventually it'll realize, wait a minute, I don't need all that. I don't have to do all that. And it'll calm down and your hair will be nice and soft and grow in, and it won't get as oily as fast. You may not have oily hair if you think you do. A lot of times my clients come in and say, oh, my hair is so oily, so oily. Actually, probably not. It's probably compensating for what you're doing to it, right? So if at first you find that switching away from using this ingredient is causing your hair to be gross and oily and like heavy and like weighed down, just be patient, give it some time, and let it acclimate to not having to overproduce more and more oil for itself, okay? Just as a note. Another ingredient I like to avoid, and this is usually in conditioners, is dimethicone. So this is a silicone product. Basically, it makes you think that your hair is soft, but it's kind of like a wax. It just coats the hair shaft, and so it feels soft. But what it does is it prevents your hair from breathing, and it blocks moisture. And so whatever you put on your hair, it's not getting in your hair. It's just going on top of this coating. So I usually try to avoid it, and I usually don't use commercial conditioners at all. You know, even when I do cave and use commercial shampoos, if I'm traveling or something, I will usually just use herb packs and stuff like that, natural stuff. But when I do have to cave and use a commercial shampoo, I usually do not use commercial conditioners. Um, I just use things that are actually going to provide my hair with the food that it needs to be happy and healthy, right? Sometimes if my ends are getting crunchy and I haven't cut them and I don't plan to for any reason, if I'm just roaming or whatever, then I might put a little bit of my partner's conditioner, like just in like the little end right here, just to coat that part of my hair, right? But that's not really good for your hair, actually. It just makes it feel soft, but it's not actually helping it at all. In fact, it may be doing more harm than good. So what to wash your hair with then? There are lots of natural ingredient options out there if you don't want to use commercial products at all. There was a fad for a while using just baking soda, the no poo method. Baking soda will eventually dry out your hair and it'll mess up your pH. So yes, you can do this. It's very clarifying. And sometimes I will, but not for an extended period of time. Right? This isn't going to be good for you long term. I used to, when I was doing more of a products-based business with my herbalism company, I would make a lot of commercial shampoo, or I would make prepackaged shampoo products that contained myriad ingredients. Soap nut is great. Lots of other herbs have a natural saponifier in there, which is that soapy, lathery situation. Natural shampoos are never going to be as luxuriously lathery as commercial products because the lather, the emulsifier, and the detergent is what causes the lather, and that's what's causing the damage. So if your product is super lathery and like super luxurious, it's probably not doing you any good, right? Unfortunately, because it is very nice, right? I have been lucky to find some commercial products that don't contain these ingredients. They sometimes are a little more expensive, but for me it's worth it because I don't want to do any damage. I'm going through maybe mid-30s, so I'm enjoying a nice hormone cycle, as all of us do, male, female, whatever, and everything in between and around, right? Goes through hormone phases in your life, and when your hormones change, your hair is going to change, right? Hormones are a big part of that. So what I've been doing to help myself is nourishing from the inside out. Lots of omega-3s. I eat coconut and salmon and avocado and all these like healthy nuts and seeds that are really good for you. Also, making sure you have a diet that has enough vitamins and minerals. Sometimes the trace minerals and vitamins that we're missing are what's causing our hair to fall out. So if you can't eat a healthy diet, or if unfortunately you're in the US where a lot of the food is, even the natural foods, are grown in poor soil, so maybe missing some trace minerals, it might be worthwhile to consider multivitamin. But remember, no multivitamin will replace a healthy diet, right? So think about that. Shampoo, inside out health, masks, conditioners, right? So I usually skip the conditioner, and I'll tell you why. Because I would rather give my hair food, so rather than wax on top of it to make it feel soft, but it's not really doing anything for it. So I like to use, after I shampoo, I like to use, or wash, cleanse, I like to use a hair rinse. So this is just purely a liquid. It's not something you like put in and then rinse out and all this. I don't rinse it out. I pour it over my hair while I'm finishing up what I'm doing in the shower, and then I just squeeze it out and dry. Might want to get a dark colored towel depending on what you put in it, and I'll tell you some of the things I love to put in a hair rinse. So I like to start with a tea base. So I like rosemary for hair a lot. So it's very stimulating. It smells amazing. So I love rosemary. So I make a nice strong rosemary tea. I've also put nettle or ortiga, depending on where you are, in there as well. Love it. Some people like to put mint. I sometimes find that to be too astringent. So I don't always put mint personally, but if you really love mint, you feel good about it, then go for a little bit of mint. I also like green tea, right? Because it's stimulating and your there's a lot of like good stuff in green tea, and your scalp and your hair will love it. So I like to put green tea in there as well. Um, and I also use other herbs such as bengraji and even sometimes henna, depending on what it is that I need. But you don't even have to get complicated about it for a home recipe, right? So if you want your blonde to be more bright, add chamomile. If you want your hair to be darker, rosemary will darken your hair. So if you are a blonde, probably don't put rosemary, just stick with the green tea, right? Also coffee. It also helps cover up the grays, which I have in abundance at this point in my life, and I love them. They're a symbol of my wisdom, and also sometimes I would prefer them to not be as vibrant, so I just put coffee on them, right? So I like coffee. If you like to have more red in your hair, if your hair's already red, hibiscus, right? Hibiscus tea or jamaica, depending on where you are, is a great alternative. None of these things are going to like dramatically change your hair color, but they will brighten up your tone depending on what you're going for. And I have found that they definitely make a difference in my hair, and they have definitely made a difference for my clients' hair, especially with repeated use. I also like, I'll put a note here. Yes, I also like to put a little bit of apple cider vinegar, right? So I make this decoction and I let it just sit on the counter until I'm ready to wash my hair and it's cooled down, right? Because that's another thing with washing your hair. If you use a very hot water, you will cook your hair. You'll get frizz. You're gonna split, your hairs. I wouldn't the hair shaft. I would not recommend, the cuticle phrase. I would not recommend really hot water. And if at the end of your shower, if you put it on super cold, not only is that amazing for your hair, it causes the cuticle to go down and relaxes your hair so it's soft and smooth and safe, right? It's protecting its inner core, the life part. So, but also it's really good for your skin and it's amazing for your nervous system. It's also sometimes horrible, but it's worth it. Just a couple seconds under very cold water is great for your whole system, and I love to do that. And then I'll put my hair rinse over top. So once I let that cool, when I'm ready to go in my shower, I'll take that and then I'll mix it with a little bit of apple cider vinegar, just a little bit, because it helps with your pH. And I have found that it has also helped with clients who are suffering, and myself who have suffered with dandruff and psoriasis issues. So I really like that a lot. Um, Another thing I would recommend really avoiding in hair products, and this is shampoos, this is aftercare products, this is serums, perfume and coloring, right? Unfortunately, it's in a lot of things. And you may have to just cave and go with something that's got perfume in it. But if you're buying a product specifically because it smells amazing, it's probably irritating your scalp and causing your hair to fall out or get crunchy, right? So there's a possibility there. They are highly irritating. They're usually listed as fragrance or perfume, right? And then colors, which have a variety of strange names and numbers that follow them. Um, and remember, even if a commercial product says natural flavor, natural color, that doesn't mean that doesn't mean it comes from a natural source. It just means it's a chemical molecule that can be found somewhere in nature, right? So keep that in mind when you're looking for products. So afterwards, speaking of heat, no heat. I do not use blow dryers. If I do, it's on cool setting. I do not use heat styling tools. If I do want to do something fun and style my hair, it is not with a chemical and it is not with a hot tool. I will do heatless curls, or I will brush aloe through my hair to make it like straighter or whatever. If I feel like it's been wavy, usually I just let it do whatever it wants. But if you are interested in like style, harsh straighteners, chemicals, and perms and um, heat tools will cook your hair, unfortunately. Even if you use heat protectants, this is definitely a good idea if you are using hot tools to use a heat protectant. If you're not, then you really should be. My favorite way to go about that, especially if you're trying to recover damaged hair, is to just stop with the hot tools for a while. and find a style that works without needing to use hot tools, right? There are lots of amazing braided options out there and lots of cool things you can do with your hair, and it's natural glory. Let your body be beautiful the way it was intended, right? But if you feel like you really need to do something with your hair, if you're in a position where you really need to look your best, then go for it. But I wouldn't recommend this on the regular. Someone who straightens their hair every single day will have heat damage. That's the way it's going to be, right? Cause your hair to break, get brittle, fry, right? And eventually that works its way up and your hair starts falling out. It's not good. Right? So afterwards, I towel dry, right? And do not rub your towel in your hair like this. This causes damage, right? Just squeeze, press, squeeze, squeeze, press. This back and forth rubbing motion actually is not helping you dry your hair. It's just causing your hair to get damaged. So avoid this motion, please. With towels, just squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And then afterwards, I like to do a scalp treatment, which usually includes a little bit of an oil, just massage it in my scalp. It usually includes a little rosemary essential oil. Usually includes a little coconut. Sometimes I like to buy the Arab products are badass. They're usually full of like argan oil and black seed oil and all these wonderful ingredients. I put a little bit of that in my scalp, and then along the ends, not in the middle because I don't want my hair to be greasy, right? And then just a little bit, in the ends to help it stay nice and healthy and nourished. I do love oils for hair. I also, before I do the oil, I do aloe. Right, aloe. So again, with the commercial aloe products, your best bet is an aloe leaf. Just get the slime and have some fun, right? It's gross, it's slippery, and your hair will be amazing afterwards. And in fact, if you're going to be styling it with like heatless curls or something, then putting aloe in it first will create sort of like a natural hold. And it gives your hair like a really nice, a grippy texture for styling. It also makes it really soft, and it's also very moisturizing, especially if you have scalp issues. Rubbing that into your scalp, so good. Bottled aloe products, please try and go for the most natural ones possible. A lot of the aloe products that are bottled are meant for cooling your skin. This is not for your hair, okay? This is for sunburn treatments. Try to go for the most natural product you can find. If it's got a weird funky color, if it's blue or it's green, don't buy it. Aloe gel is clear, right? Or slightly greenish. That should not be like M&M green. You know what I mean? That is not normal. And I try to avoid things like that. Again, if it's what you got, go for it. Work with what you got. But I really try to avoid it and try and find a product that contains as much as possible just the aloe. And you may find that bottles that say 100% natural aloe include 100% natural aloe. The bottle is not 100% natural aloe, right? So be careful of labeling trickery. So I love to put aloe in my hair. And then I'll put the oils because the oils are heavier, so you want to put them on last, right? So at this point, you have a wonderful, soft, dry, right? If I want my hair to be like a little straighter, then while it's drying, then I will gently and carefully brush it bottom up. If you do not know that, right? Start at the bottom and brush gently up, especially if you have longer hair and you get breakage. If you start up here and you start just yanking your tangles out, then what's going to happen is you are going to just start breaking and ripping out your hair, and that's not good. It'll look thin and crappy, right? So start at the end, and then when all the little knots are out, and go in sections. I'll take like a section and like brush out a section and go up, and I'll move my section. This sounds like a pain in the ass, right? When my hair was down to my ankles, it was a pain in the ass. But generally speaking, it doesn't take any more effort than just getting a bunch of knots and ripping your hair out, right? It's not worth it. And to be honest with you, I really only brush my hair probably every couple days. Yeah, I don't brush my hair all that much. I would rather massage my scalp with my hands and just like smooth it out and be done with it, right? But I can get away with that because my hair is very nurtured, right? It's very nourished, it's very moisturized, so it doesn't get super ratty and tangly. My hair has a straight hair texture, but it also coarse, which means that it makes its own natural dreadlocks. I actually rock dreadlocks that are allowed to be there, but sometimes it'll form its own dreadlocks that are not natural or that are not approved. They're outside of approval, so my hair does rat up really quickly. But if you take care of it and it's soft and it's nourished and it's moisturized, it will rat up less, right? So you may find that when you do go to brush it, it's like detangled in advance, right? Which is great. So something else I really like to do every now and then is another treatment, right? I do want to touch on henna because we did talk about henna. If you're dealing with psoriasis, if you're dealing with eczema, please get away from the commercial products. They're causing more aggravation. The anti-dandruff shampoos, if they're working for you, great. But if you find that they're really not working all that great, then stop using them. They contain a bunch of harsh chemicals, and it would be better just to give your hair what it needs so it doesn't need to do that, right? Have patience, right? Skin changes and hair changes can happen kind of slowly sometimes. So you have to give your body and your hair time to adjust and allow yourself a chance to heal, right? This includes a good diet, right? This includes taking care of your skin inside and out. So henna is actually one of my favorite ingredients for psoriasis and eczema and dandruff management. It does not need to stain or color your hair. If you like your hair to be red or brown, or even some of them, there's no such thing as black henna, but there are ingredients that can make henna really dark. So black henna has dyes in it usually. There are plants that can make your hair black and blue, right? But generally that's not what's in henna specifically. Then there are all kinds of color options out there. I actually really like the Henna Souk products. Their henna is really nice. And if you leave it in for a long time, you can have nice bright red hair. There's some videos on my channel where I have bright red hair. It's all henna. It's all natural, right? And that really, really, really helps with scalp health. When I feel like I don't bother with color, this is what it is. This is all natural. But if I find that I'm getting like rashy or itchy or like dandruffy, then I'll put on henna and I'll leave it for just a short amount of time. Or I'll get henna that doesn't have any strong color. And if you're buying henna from a henna retailer, you can just ask which one won't stain. And it still will probably stain a little bit, but it never really seems to color my hair much at all. And which is great. That's what I'm going for. And mixed with other ingredients can provide a really wonderful hair and scalp health benefit, which I love. And you don't even shampoo it out. You just scrub it out as though it was the shampoo, and your hair looks awesome. It gives it a nice, wonderful, full texture. It makes it look thicker, and makes it grippy for what's a short amount of time, 5 minutes. Oh, for henna. Good question. Thank you, Chrissy. I usually, if I'm putting henna in my hair, then I don't want it to color. And if I'm using one that I think might color my hair, I won't leave it in longer than like 20 minutes. I like to leave hair products on so that my body can use them, right? With shampoos and stuff, we rinse them out so fast that it's like, what's in there that can really be beneficial? So if I'm going to be putting something on to treat my hair, I leave it for a long time. So like I said with masks, I'll leave them overnight. But some things you should not. And actually, let's talk about that next. I love that you said that because I wanted to mention eggs. So your hair is pretty much mostly keratin. It's a protein. I think a lot of us are familiar with the famous Brazilian keratin treatments, right? Which helps your hair be really healthy and strong, which is great to help feed it what it needs, that protein. You do not need expensive or commercial keratin products or treatments or salon treatments that are expensive as well. Instead, just use some eggs, and if you want to mix a little yogurt in there, that's a really nice alternative option. I just stick with eggs. Sometimes a little honey, but honey can be drying a little bit sometimes, so I don't always use that if my hair's really dry. Some say it's humectant, but I find it makes my hair a little dry, but it's great as a shampoo product alternative because it does its job without being unhealthy for you, and it's antimicrobial. Honey is great for a lot of things. But I like to mix eggs just like a little water and just whisk them like I'm going to make scrambled eggs for the kids or something, And I put that in, massage it in, scalp to tip. Do not leave this longer than like 20 minutes, maybe 30, right? And do not do this more often than like once a month or once every other month. I probably do this probably once a season, 4 times a year. Because if you do it too often or leave it too long, then it makes your hair super brittle and it'll break, right? You do not want that. We want it to be better, not worse. So do not leave the eggs on for a long time. And when you go to rinse them out, do not rinse them out with hot water. Actually, you can use the egg as the shampoo. You don't need to shampoo out the eggs. They'll sort of lather up on their own under the shower. But if you try and rinse out eggs with hot water, they will cook in your hair, and good luck getting that out. I learned that the hard way. Here you get to not make my mistakes and rinse them out with cool water. And just lather them up like shampoo and just rinse it out really thoroughly. You will not smell like eggs. You may think you're going to smell like eggs, but you won't. Same with the rinse with the apple cider vinegar. My partner tells me I smell like a salad when I come out of the shower, but the apple cider vinegar, like vinegary smell, goes away really quickly when your hair dries, and then you just smell like the herbs that were in there, which is really nice. So I recommend the eggs. Sometimes people like to mix them with avocado. I like to mix them with yogurt if I'm going to do like a protein treatment. Um, what else? For other types of moisturizers for masks or for like a treatment afterwards, I like things that have shea. I love the aloe. I like coconut oil. I like avocado. I like argan oil. I like a lot of these things, right? So this is great. Um, the truth is, you do not need a lot of fancy chemicals to have great hair. You just don't, right? Um, I've struggled with like hair and scalp issues for some time, and my solution was actually getting away from all the commercial products I was sold on. And I was afraid to do that because I thought if I let go of the things that are promised to help me, the medicines, right, then it's just going to get worse. And the truth is, it is the best decision I ever made, and I will not go back. And it drives my partner batty because if we're traveling, and I absolutely will not use shampoo in a hotel room. I always have to have my own products with me, or I have to go buy something and spend 3 hours in the grocery trying to find, in the beauty aisle, trying to find a product that doesn't have sodium lauryl sulfate in it. Right? She hates hearing about it, but I no longer suffer from psoriasis, eczema, or dandruff issues at all, and my hair doesn't fall out in clumps like it used to, which it makes me really happy. So I'm going to choose what works for me. I have found this has also been really effective for other clients of mine. In the rinse, some people like to put the dry aloe powder in their tea, or arrowroot powder, which is my favorite dry shampoo, by the way. You don't have to be um, totally granola and not cute, right? I have dark hair, so I put a little cacao powder in my arrowroot and just like fluff it up together. Works great. And it's healthy for your hair. I also really like in that mixture for the hair rinse after shampoo, I also really like fenugreek powder, right? You can get all this online. Just find something. Organic is better, of course. Super love fenugreek. Makes your hair really soft and slippery, and it's wonderful. It's like a natural detangler. So that's, I guess, cycling back. It's another ingredient I really like to put in there. Um, if you put the powdered ingredients in there, it's when the cup is done steeping, when it's cool, those ingredients will sink to the bottom. Maybe pour off the stuff on top to use on your hair. If you happen to pour like the powdered sludge sludge in the bottom in your hair, um, massage it in. I do, and it gives me like this awesome volume and texture, and so I like that sometimes. And if I know I'm going to be having to look cute, style my hair, maybe go to a wedding, then when I wash my hair, I'll leave that stuff in there, and then I'll just towel dry my hair outside so the little pieces will fall out. Made the mistake of using the wrong coffee one time in my mix and had coffee grounds in my hair. But when your hair dries, you just kind of fluff them out and move on, you know? So if that kind of thing really bothers you, then pour off the liquid off the top and leave the sludge and just dispose of that. But if you don't mind the sludge, then it can give your hair a lot of great texture. So I really like that. But that's all about preference, right? Everybody has their own preference. If you want your hair to be like really shiny and really soft, aloe and also fenugreek rinse, right? Fenugreek powder, just make it like tea, and then when it cools, pour it over your hair like a rinse. It's great. What else? What questions do you have? What questions do you have? This is a lot of information, and it's not even everything that I do and have tried. Um, and if I put the recipes for all of my different hair care products that I was selling in my herbalism company, we would be here all night. But I did want to share these things because it can be, I know it sounds a little vain, but it can be emotionally damaging when we're having hair issues. So, especially in a culture where we value vanity and our looks, we want to look healthy, we want to look cute, we want to look put together, and it's hard to do that when our hair is like falling out, rashy, dandruffy. It feels embarrassing. So, I think it's good to take care of that part, that emotional balance, that attachment that we have to our physical exterior, but also it's about health as well. So if you're having scalp issues, the likelihood is you may be having other skin issues, right? People with a lot of scalp issues may be having pore keratosis, or maybe having um, eczema in other areas, or maybe having acne, or maybe experiencing rashiness or ashiness or skin dryness, or maybe have those little bumps all over your arms and legs. So there are lots of other things going on when there's a skin issue. Skin is very closely related to liver. But the idea about skin is that, and scalp is this, right? is it is your largest organ. And also the things that are absorbed by your skin that we put on our skin, we consider we can put all kinds of crap on our skin. Would you ever eat that? Because if the answer is probably absolutely no way would I ever put that in my mouth, that's probably poisonous, please don't put it on your skin either. Because it's your largest organ, right? And it doesn't even have the benefit, the stuff you put on it is just absorbed. It doesn't even have the benefit of being processed through your digestive system. It just goes straight in, right? Into your lymph, into your blood. So it's really meaningful to take care of your skin because it's not just about how we look and how we feel on the outside. It's also about taking care of our body, right? And if it's something that we would never eat, probably don't put it on your skin either. And when we're talking about hair care products, then we're putting them directly on our head, these chemicals, every couple days, presumably, maybe every day, right? And so it's worthwhile to pay attention to these things for health and wellness purposes too. Some of these toxic ingredients have been shown to cause hormone disruption, right? So in an age where so many people are struggling with hormone issues, I think it would be good to do everything we can about it, right? Which includes the products, not just that we're consuming orally, but that we're consuming through our skin as well. And this includes, unfortunately, our commercial hair and skincare products. I'm also equally as particular about skincare, because I want to take care of my body. And if I am like appalled by the poison that something is, I'm not going to put it on my skin either, any more than I would eat it, right? And so, for example, the sodium lauryl sulfate, dimethicone, parabens, right? They're used for preservatives. They're super irritating. And they have been shown to possibly cause hormone disruption. So I try to avoid that, in my ingredients list with all kinds of hair and skin care products as well. Chrissy, if there's a skin irritation on scalp, anything to put on it? I missed a few minutes if you already said it. Well, the good news is this video will come back around and will be posted and be here indefinitely. It's long though, isn't it? There's another video there about natural hair care that's on my regular page, or my regular thing. But I want to do a live about it too, just because little Emma asked. If there's skin irritation on scalp, first you need to determine why the irritation is there. If you've injured yourself, leave it alone and just let it heal, But if the skin irritation is coming from psoriasis or eczema or dandruff or some other type of rash that's going on, check around to see if it's elsewhere on your skin as well. But if it's really just your scalp, yes, go ahead and rewatch this video because there's a bunch of stuff in there. I love henna, coconut oil, right? These kinds of things are great. For helping to heal that and really just getting away from these poisonous ingredients can make a huge difference. So a lot of times we think, what can I add? What can I add? What more can I do? But sometimes it's how much less can we do? What can we do less to get closer to the way our body naturally functions, right? Finding that balance and that harmony. So it's not always about adding things, sometimes it's about taking things away. And some of my clients did none of these things on the list except stop using the SLS shampoos. And their hair health improved, their scalp health improved, the irritation stopped, the dandruff stopped, right? But remember, be patient. Sometimes these things do take time. Chrissy, is lavender a no-no? I love lavender. And if you're having irritation, I highly recommend lavender, and I also love calendula. Calendula doesn't usually come in essential oil, but Plant Therapy does have a spray, a liquid, a hydrosol, and I love their hydrosol. You can also make you put that in the tea blend for the hair rinse. Calendula is so good for skin and hair. I love calendula. It's a beautiful gold flower. It's called marigold, right? Some fun facts about calendula. Romans used to put it in their garden as a symbol of status, right? Because it's such good medicine. It's really good to drink too. You can drink calendula. It's great for your digestion. It's really gentle, much like lavender, very gentle, but don't underestimate the power of gentle, right? So yeah, lavender is great. I like it in the hair rinse, and also if you're going to do a hair scrub or a mask, you can put a couple of drops of lavender essential oil in your coconut oil or whatever else. Remember, don't put essential oil directly on your skin. Lavender is actually the only one you can get away with that with. So put a few drops in there and massage that in there and let it sit there for, the next day, whatever. At least 30 minutes. At least 30 minutes. How often do you wash your hair? I wash my hair anywhere between 2 days and a week. Rarely is it 2 days. If it's 2 days, then it's because I've been seriously sweaty and my hair's dirty because I've been sweating profusely or something, or I've done something where I'm muddy or have food smell in my hair or something if I've been cooking a lot. So then I'll wash my hair. But um, probably once or twice a week, really, at this point in my life. There was another point in my life where I really had to wash my hair like every 2 or 3 days. But just listen to your body too. That's going to change. You know, it always changes. Where the only constant is change, right? I can go days, but I worry about germs and fungi on the scalp. If you use things like lavender, coconut, then you're not going to have that issue. And by the way, your body's full of germs and fungi. That's actually part of our biome, and we need that, right? So some of our biome in the modern world is not as healthy as it could be, and some of it is. We're not fully human. We're a colony, right? So we need some of these things. If you're very concerned, though, about germs and fungi, shampoo is not going to get rid of that, right? Or the detergents in shampoo might strip that away, but you're not going to suddenly start sprouting mushrooms in your head because you went 2 more days without washing your hair. You know what I mean? And remember, coconut oil, honey, and lavender and rosemary, these are all antimicrobial anyway. So if you're using these things, then you're actually doing yourself a favor and avoiding those things that you're concerned about. It comes in scalp after I eat gluten, feels bumpy. Well, honey, you probably have a gluten sensitivity. And most people don't know this, but actually a lot of people do. Um, some of us have it in a very severe form, and it shows up in, for example, gluten intolerance or even celiac disorders. But a lot of us actually should not be eating as much gluten as we do. I think we're not really designed to be eating that much, and it's not good for any of our systems, right? So it's probably good to just avoid the gluten as much as you can. I know it's hard to do, it's entirely, but especially in the modern American world, it's very hard to avoid gluten products, but it can be done. My diet's almost entirely gluten free. I'm not a tyrant either. If I really want a piece of pie, I'm gonna eat it, right? But I don't indulge in a lot of gluten, and actually, I feel so much clearer of mind too for it. So I recommend probably just avoiding the gluten. It feels bumpy and scaly, no itch. It sounds like a gluten intolerance. Your scalp's just telling you that it does not prefer um, what you're putting on. So maybe it would be good to avoid that. But actually, the coconut lavender situation would soothe that as well. So if it does happen, because life happens, right? And we don't always make perfect choices, and we should enjoy our life too. You know what I mean? Just enjoy yourself as well. Then I would recommend putting a little lavender with coconut on your hair and leaving it and then washing it in the morning. Yeah, and that will help soothe the situation. Scaly. Yeah. Does this happen anywhere else on your skin or just your scalp? That's another question, right? Check out the rest of your body, like what else goes on when you're doing something you shouldn't do, and how can you address that when we do make the mistakes that we make and make the unwise choices that are inevitable in life, and we shouldn't beat ourselves up for. We should just appreciate the moment and then move forward and make better choices, right? And just suffer our consequences, right? In as much grace as possible. Beating yourself up only makes it worse, and self-criticism does cause inflammatory conditions. So, they say that criticism, especially self-criticism, can cause aggravations to arthritic issues. It can cause swelling, and it can cause skin problems and scalp problems. So maybe also look at your inner dialogue, right, and see how it is that you're talking to yourself, and if that is a good way that you can help reduce the external effects of what may be an internal condition. Because our skin is very quick to show us what's going on. We get a hormone change, then we break out. We get stressed out, then we get rashes, right? So our skin is a reflection of our internal condition, and that includes our thinking and our emotions as well. So maybe check in with that too, and see what that internal environment is like. And if you find you're criticizing yourself or hard on yourself a lot, maybe that's a powerful change you can make to improve your general wellness and also help with the skin thing going on. Yes, probably just reduce the gluten or suffer the consequences. Sometimes it's worth it, right? Sometimes it is. Try the coconut with the rosemary, and you're blonde though, aren't you? So maybe coconut and lavender would be better for you. And chamomile. Chamomile's really soothing, right? So try the chamomile rinse, even if you make none of these other changes, because it'll brighten blonde and it'll soothe your scalp as well. Yeah. I think that's good enough for this talk. What other questions do you have? Please feel free to leave them below in the comments. I do circle back around and answer questions. And if you do want to participate in the vote for whatever our next live is going to be, Miss Chrissy, you already know where to go. In the description, I will also put um, the list of no ingredients, so that way they'll be there. And I'll also put, I'm mostly off gluten, but I love pie. I love pie too. I love it. I love pie. I'll also put a link to the Facebook group where the vote happens every week. And if you don't want to participate in that, but you still want to choose a topic of your preference, leave me a comment and let me know, and I will take it into consideration. If you like this type of content, we talk about everything from herbalism to mindset and wellness, sacred medicines, shamanic topics, and I would love to share whatever it is that I have learned with you. So let me know what excites you, and I will be happy to be present with it. I hope you have a beautiful day, night, wherever you are, and I'll see you soon. Bye.